The sun sank behind the skeletal pines, its last embers bleeding into the bruised October sky, casting a sickly crimson glow over the cracked asphalt of Greystone Park Psychiatric Hospital's parking lot. The New Jersey air was sharp with the scent of damp leaves and the faint, acrid tang of decay, seeping from the hospital's shattered windows like a whispered curse. The five-story monolith loomed against the dusk, its brick facade pockmarked with broken glass and graffiti, each empty socket a silent witness to a century of torment. My boots crunched on scattered gravel, the sound a jarring pulse in the oppressive stillness, my breath clouding faintly as I stepped from my car. The weight of my backpack, heavy with gear, grounded me, but the air pressed against my chest, thick with an unspoken warning. 6 figures stood in a loose circle by their vehicles, headlamp beams darting like nervous spirits, their voices low, taut with the thrill and dread of what lay ahead. I approached, each step a deliberate crossing into a world where the past refused to rest. Michael Davis was a familiar silhouette, his man bun and sleeve tattoos catching the fading light, his wiry frame vibrating with restless energy as he tested his flashlight's beam against the hospital's facade. Beside him, Thomas Cooper moved with mechanical precision, stuffing his utility vest with tools and batteries, his face shadowed, offering me a curt two-finger salute without breaking focus. "Jamie, right on time," Michael said, his heavy hand clapping my shoulder, a fleeting anchor in the gathering dark. A stocky man in a tactical vest stepped forward, his expensive headlamp casting a clinical glow across his features. "Ryan Wilson," he introduced himself, extending a hand, his grip firm, almost possessive, as if asserting control over the night's chaos. "I organized this expedition. Everyone, this is James Mitchell. He's tackled a dozen major sites with Thomas and Mike." I nodded, scanning the group, my gaze settling on 3 women by a red Jeep. Olivia Parker waved, her vintage leather jacket a defiant splash of style against the hospital's decay, her confidence palpable. Emma Taylor stood motionless, her pale face and piercing blue eyes fixed on Greystone, a silver locket at her throat glinting like a talisman. Natalie Brooks, adjusting her camera, offered a quick smile, her calm a quiet counterpoint to the group's nervous energy. "Final checks," Ryan commanded, his voice slicing through the rustle of gear and the distant moan of wind through broken windows. 5 hours before we clear out." I unpacked my essentials, a high-end flashlight, its beam cutting through the dusk, extra batteries, their weight reassuring, a camera to capture the hospital's secrets, a first aid kit, a grim necessity, water and snack bars for endurance. My radio crackled to life, confirming Channel 3, its static a faint heartbeat in the night. Ryan briefed us, his words weaving a grim tapestry of Greystone's history. Shut down in 2008, but its roots dig back to 1876. At its peak, nearly 5,000 patients were crammed into wards built for 2,000. Overcrowding led to neglect, experimental treatments, isolation punishments, deaths swept under the rug. A nurse was killed in the 70s, patient-on-patient murders buried in red tape. I tested my flashlight, its beam revealing the hospital's front, where grand staircases and ornate tilework lured urban explorers, but darker truths, electroshock chambers, restraint rooms, unmarked graves, whispered from its depths. Emma's voice, soft yet unervingly direct, broke the briefing. Were there riots? Patient uprisings? Staff killed by inmates? Her question, laced with a hunger for the macabre, drew my gaze. Her fingers brushed her locket, her eyes never leaving the building, as if it spoke to her alone. Ryan's smile was almost approving. Incidents, yeah. A nurse in 73, patient deaths hushed up. Greystone's got a long memory. We moved toward a service entrance, the broken lock yielding to Ryan's push, the door's hinges screaming like a wounded animal. The smell hit first, dust thick with mildew, a chemical undercurrent sharp enough to burn my throat, and something deeper, metallic, like old blood. Our flashlights carved paths through the darkness, revealing a reception area frozen in time. Yellowed papers littered the floor, chairs overturned, 3 wheelchairs poised near a nurse's station, their wheels caked with dust. as if their occupants had dissolved into the air. "Temperature drop," Thomas muttered, zipping his jacket, his breath visible in the beam of his light. The air was 10 degrees colder inside, a clammy weight that clung to my skin, raising goosebumps. Ryan split us into teams, Michael, Thomas, and Natalie to the West Wing, himself to administration and patient records, me with Emma and Olivia to the east. I wasn't thrilled babysitting newcomers, but Olivia's sharp wit and steady hands reassured me. Emma, however, was a cipher. Her gaze tracked shadows, her silence a heavy presence, her locket catching the light like a warning. "Main floor first, then up," Ryan said, his voice echoing off peeling walls. "Nobody goes to the basement alone. Meet back here at midnight." The East Wing corridor stretched before us, its ceiling sagging with water stains, black tendrils of mold creeping across peeling paint. Our footsteps stirred clouds of dust, the air thick with the scent of neglect and something sour, like spoiled medicine. My flashlight beam danced across rusted wall hooks and cracked tiles, each step amplifying the hospital's oppressive silence. "Explored abandoned places before?" I asked, my voice sounding hollow in the vastness. Olivia snapped photos, her camera's shutter a rhythmic click. "A few factories, an old hotel. Emma and I hit Penhist last year. She's got a thing for hospitals, especially asylums." Her tone was light, but her glance at Emma carried a flicker of concern. Emma trailed behind, her fingers grazing the wall, as if tracing invisible braille. "The paint's different here," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "They changed it after the '83 incident." I shot a look at Olivia, who shrugged, her expression unreadable. No such incident was in Greystone's public record, and Emma's cryptic certainty unnerved me. I let it pass, focusing on the corridor's end, where it opened into a dayroom. The dayroom was a relic of forced normalcy. Television brackets dangled from the ceiling like broken bones. Plastic chairs lay scattered, some shattered, their jagged edges catching the light. A table bore a faded checkerboard pattern, its squares worn to ghosts, etched by countless hands seeking distraction from despair. As I crossed toward double doors, a flicker caught my flashlight's edge, a shadow darting down a side hallway, too swift to be human. I froze, beam trained on the empty corridor, its peeling paint and cobwebs mocking my senses. "What?" Olivia asked, pausing her photography. "Thought I saw something move." She dismissed it as a raccoon, citing a family of them at Danvers Hospital, but Emma's whisper sent a chill down my spine. "They're waiting for us." Her blue eyes reflected my light, unblinking, her locket glinting like a beacon. I ignored her, pushing through the double doors to the patient rooms, my boots grounding me against the growing dread coiling in my chest. For 2 hours, we scoured the first and second floors, photographing a monotonous parade of decay. Patient rooms with peeling paint, rusted bed frames, and smashed tiles blurring into a single, oppressive image. The air grew heavier, dust coating my throat, the chemical smell sharpening with each step. "Not much down here," I said, panning my light across another empty room. "Upper floors have the treatment rooms, electroshock, hydrotherapy, restraint chambers. That's where the real history hides." Olivia snorted, capturing a broken mirror, its shards reflecting our distorted faces. "Treatment's a generous word for torture." Emma remained silent, her presence a shadow at our backs, her hand tracing walls, pausing to stare into corners, touching doorknobs, light switches, window frames. Her locket gleamed faintly, a metronome to her strange ritual, each touch seeming to commune with the hospital's past. A long corridor revealed red graffiti, stark against green paint. "Blood will spill." The letters were jagged, dripping, as if painted in haste. Olivia laughed nervously. "Teen goths living their best life." More messages followed. "They make us hurt them," sprawled across a door, the red seeping into cracked wood. Emma stood before the first message, flashlight off, fingers tracing the paint, her lips moving silently, as if reciting a prayer. "Emma, you okay?" I called, my voice sharp in the silence. She turned slowly, eyes wide, the graffiti's crimson reflected in her pupils. What? You were saying something? I shook my head. You were moving your lips. She wiped her fingers, leaving red smudges on her jeans, her expression vacant. Olivia brushed it off. She gets weird vibes. At Penhist, she talked to an empty corner for 20 minutes. Emma denied it weakly, her silence growing heavier, a weight that pressed against my nerves. The third floor was a ruin. Collapsed ceilings spilled insulation like entrails. Broken fixtures littered the floor, and the air was thick with dust that stung my eyes. We navigated carefully, my flashlight revealing a larger room with tiled walls and a central drain. An electroshock therapy chamber. A gurney with leather restraints stood intact, its straps cracked but unyielding. A metal cabinet held glass bottles with faded labels. Sedatives, anesthetics, and syringes without needles. A rolling cart bore a rusted electroshock machine, its headpiece wired like a crown forged for suffering, its dials frozen in time. Olivia photographed eagerly, her camera's flash igniting the room in harsh bursts. Emma hesitated at the doorway, one hand gripping the frame, her locket catching the light. You coming in? I asked. She nodded, stepping inside, her gaze locked on the headpiece. She lifted it, hands steady, eyes distant, fingers tracing its metal contacts as if reading a sacred text. You wouldn't believe how many patients they ran through here, I said, breaking the uncomfortable silence. Nearly 5,000 at peak, subjected to shocks, lobotomies, worse. Emma raised the headpiece as if to wear it, her expression trance-like. Emma, put that down, Olivia snapped, her voice cutting through the haze. It's gross, probably diseased. Emma lowered it slowly, hands trembling, stepping back. Just thinking about the people in this room, she whispered, her voice barely audible, yet heavy with unspoken knowledge. I checked my watch time to radio in. James, East Wing, third floor, all clear, I said, pressing the talk button. Static answered, then Michael's voice, fragmented. West Wing, thought we saw. Can't find. The transmission died, leaving a void that amplified the hospital's hum. A low, persistent drone I hadn't noticed before, vibrating in my bones. A metallic bang echoed through the building, rhythmic, insistent, like a hammer striking steel. What the hell is that? I whispered, my flashlight beam wavering. Emma's voice was urgent, her eyes wide with fear. We need to leave, right now. Olivia pushed to investigate, arguing the others might need help. It could be Thomas or Ryan signaling us. Emma gripped her silver locket, knuckles white, her voice trembling. You don't understand what's happening here. I hesitated, torn between caution and duty. We check, but carefully, I decided. Together, no splitting up. Before we could move, a sharp crack, like a gunshot, erupted from the west wing, its echo ricocheting through the corridors. Emma grabbed my arm, her fingers ice cold, digging into my skin. That's not them. We go back to the entrance, call the police. Olivia's eyes flashed with defiance. What if someone's hurt? We can't just run. I weighed the risks, the gunshot's implications chilling my blood. We investigate, but at the first sign of real danger, we're out. The stairwell to the main lobby was a gauntlet of decay. Debris blocked paths, a collapsed ceiling new since our entry, its plaster dust choking the air. The hospital felt larger, corridors stretching unnaturally, landmarks shifting. A broken wheelchair now in a different hall, its wheels gleaming faintly, as if recently moved. The air grew colder, heavier, each breath a struggle against the chemical tang. Footsteps echoed ahead, and Ryan appeared, pale, his tactical vest unzipped, eyes wild with panic. Thomas was shot, he gasped, bending to catch his breath, sweat gleaming on his forehead. Administration offices. Someone moving. I heard him speak, then the shot. He's gone. Just a blood trail leading nowhere. My mind raced. Ryan had scouted Greystone for weeks, insisting no one else used it. A shooter didn't fit. Michael's radio call confirmed Natalie's disappearance. 1 minute she was there, then gone. Against my instincts, Ryan pushed to split up, assigning himself and me to the basement morgue, Olivia and Emma to the second floor. Emma's plea, "Don't leave me," was a knife to my gut, her eyes pleading, but Olivia promised caution. 20 minutes, I said, checking my watch. Meet at 11:08. The basement stairs descended into a void, the darkness swallowing our flashlight beams, the air damp and frigid, laced with a chemical burn that seared my throat. Pipes overhead dripped foul, sulfurous water, mold blooming in black-green patches across cinder-block walls. The morgue's double doors, marked "Authorized Personnel Only," creaked open, revealing a cavernous room of rusted autopsy tables, their drainage channels etched with decades of death. Stainless steel storage drawers lined one wall, some ajar, their interiors stained with rust and decay. I checked them, each screech of metal amplifying my dread, finding only soiled sheets until the last drawer, fully closed. My heart pounded as I opened it. Empty, yet the air seemed to pulse with unseen presence. Ryan confirmed the exit was sealed, its bolts rusted shut. We found no trace of Thomas, Natalie, or a shooter. Returning upstairs, the hospital felt altered. Shadows deepened. A cold draft from nowhere carried faint whispers, our flashlights dimming against Greystone's oppressive dark. Olivia waited alone at the meeting point, distraught. Emma heard whispers from a room down the hall, went to check, and vanished. 5 minutes gone, no response on the radio. Michael didn't answer either. The whispers grew louder, unintelligible, as if the walls themselves were speaking. We regrouped in the lobby, moonlight casting an eerie blue glow through cracked windows, the temperature plummeting until my breath clouded visibly. The hospital's layout confounded us, hallways looping, landmarks shifting. The wheelchair now upright, its seat damp, as if recently occupied. Michael stumbled in, his right arm gashed with 4 parallel claw marks, blood soaking his sleeve, the wounds too precise for metal or glass. "Something grabbed me in a second-floor bathroom," he said, his voice shaking. "I didn't see it, just felt it pull." Ryan pushed to leave, call the police, but Michael refused without Natalie. We searched the West Wing together, finding Ryan's backpack inexplicably on the floor, its contents, energy bars, water, camera, scattered, despite him never removing it. In a chief physician's office, fresh blood scrawled across the wall. "Emma knows." The letters glistened, a thin rivulet running from the S, the air heavy with the coppery scent of blood. Olivia's face drained of color. She admitted she and Emma had explored Greystone 8 months prior, against Ryan's claim that no one had been there before. Emma was drawn to a basement isolation room, she said, her voice trembling. She emerged changed, claiming patients spoke through her locket, trapped in the hospital, seeking help. Ryan's anger erupted, accusing Emma of staging a prank, the bloody message proof of her deceit. Michael spotted Natalie's figure down a corridor, bolting after her, his flashlight bobbing wildly. We followed, but he vanished around a corner into a narrow hallway of observation rooms, their broken windows reflecting our distorted faces. "Michael!" I shouted, my voice echoing back, unanswered. A radio crackled with a woman's voice, not Emma or Natalie, whispering, "Find me." The voice was hollow, ancient, as if spoken from a great distance, freezing my blood. We reached the chapel, its carved doors adorned with worn crosses and angels, a brass plaque reading "Chapel." Inside, broken pews faced a simple altar, moonlight filtering through a stained glass window, casting fractured colors across the stone floor. On the altar lay Emma's camera, its screen glowing faintly. The photos, dozens of hospital beds with rumpled sheets, some with head-shaped dents, others with dangling restraints, bore timestamps from that night in rooms we'd found empty. "This is Greystone," Ryan said, pointing to a window's unique arch. "But not the Greystone we're in." He accused Emma of planting the camera, orchestrating the night's horrors, but the photo's freshness defied explanation. Ryan stormed off, ignoring our pleas to stay together, his footsteps fading into the dark. Olivia's voice dropped to a whisper, her face pale in the chapel's colored light. There's more about Emma's first visit. We found an isolation ward, newer, padded cells for violent patients. Emma was drawn to one room, said someone called to her. When she emerged, her eyes were empty, her movements stiff. She kept saying, "They're still here," clutching her locket. The air grew colder, the chapel's shadows seeming to pulse. She snapped out of it after we left, but tonight, it's happening again. I nodded. The locket's connection to Greystones passed a thread we couldn't ignore. We left the chapel, navigating corridors that twisted unnaturally, doors appearing where none had been, landmarks shifting. At a junction, Olivia's directions to the isolation ward faltered. "I don't remember this," she admitted, facing 3 identical hallways. Against my better judgment, we split briefly, me to the right, her to the middle, 2 minutes max. She didn't return. I called her name, my voice swallowed by the hospital's silence, and found the isolation ward's metal door, marked restricted area, staff only. Now present where it hadn't been with the police. The isolation ward's air was frigid, medicinal, the concrete floor and green cinderblock walls stark under my flashlight. A padded room's door stood open, revealing Olivia, face down, a dark pool spreading from her crushed skull. Emma stood over her, holding a rusted pipe, blood dripping onto the concrete, her face blank, spattered with crimson. "The patients showed me what they did to troublemakers," she said, her voice not hers, deeper accented, as if spoken by another. "They won't let us leave until the hospital is cleansed." Her eyes looked through me, empty, her movements mechanical. I backed away, pleading, "Emma, put the pipe down." She lunged, the pipe missing my head by inches. I fled, her footsteps. Tap, 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 pursuing relentlessly through corridors that twisted and elongated, the hospital reshaping itself to trap me. A dead end forced me to squeeze through medical cabinets, reaching another padded room. I hid behind its door, slamming it shut as Emma entered, trapping her inside. Her screams turned desperate, her voice her own. "Don't leave me with them. They're going to hurt me." Guilt tore at me, but Olivia's death and the others' fates kept me from opening the door. I fled, the hospital's layout shifting, corridors lit by flickering yellow bulbs, a medical cart with fresh syringes and pill bottles, a clean wheelchair blocking a hall, as if recently used. The main entrance appeared at dawn, and I staggered to my car, dialing 911, my hands shaking. "There's been a murder," I told the dispatcher, my voice alien. Police arrived, but the hospital they searched was decayed. The isolation ward a blank wall. No bodies, no blood. They dismissed my story, releasing me with a warning. At a diner, I researched Greystone, uncovering Nurse Margaret Wilkins, who killed 6 patients in 1974, claiming voices ordered her to cleanse troublemakers. A photo showed her wearing Emma's silver locket. Returning to Greystone, I found the hospital as it was that night, the isolation ward intact. Olivia's blood stained the floor, a hoop earring beside it, proof of her death. Emma, huddled in the padded room, was herself, sobbing. "They let me go when the sun came up." She confessed the locket connected her to Wilkins and the patients, who possessed her, forcing her to kill. Thomas was drowned in hydrotherapy rooms, Natalie trapped in hidden passages, Michael pushed from the roof, Ryan lost in the morgue. Police found Emma and the blood evidence, but no bodies, as she predicted. The hospital hides them. Emma's detailed knowledge of unrecorded treatments from the 1950s and 60s, patient names, experimental procedures, matched sealed records, baffling investigators. Diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, she was confined to a psychiatric facility. The others' disappearances were deemed accidents, their bodies supposedly taken by wildlife. Visiting Emma, I saw her haunted, her eyes tracking empty corners, whispering, "They followed me here. Liv and the others are patients now, too." I moved 300 miles away, abandoning exploration, but at night, bangs and whispers haunt my walls, as if Greystone's patients followed me home, waiting for me to step into their domain again.